What's going on, ladies and gentlemen, family and friends? This is Coach E on behalf of Perfect Time Fitness and Meal Prep. We are accepting new clients on both sides. Now, on that personal training side, we are located at Fit Circuit. That is 22141 Rockside Road, Bedford Heights, Ohio, 44146. Now, we do offer one-on-one personal training, group training, one-on-one boxing cardio class. That is noon every Saturday, sports-specific training, and weight loss. On that meal side, we do offer personalized meal prep, catering, charcuterie boards, fresh fruit and vegetable juicing. Now, for us to get in touch with you and for you to get in touch with us, reach out to us on www.perfecttimefitness.com and sign up for those things previously mentioned. We are waiting to hear from you and can't wait to hear from you. Thanks for reaching out in advance. Peace.
Break.
All right, listeners, families, friends, like I said before, welcome to part 2 of the Freeze episode. Like I said, we had so much fun. We had to split it up into 2 because we talked for so long. Had to catch up on a lot of stuff, had to get a lot of information out there to you. As you know, it's voting season and you got to get out there and vote. So continue to listen to what you need to do and how we could inspire you to vote. If you don't vote, hopefully we change your mind to vote. So without further ado, part 2 of the Freeze Pod. Hope you all enjoy. All right, so I'm so glad that you brought that part up, that you're not afraid or anything and you just continuously be yourself. But just from me knowing you for all them years that you explained earlier in that story, I just love the way how you approach the lawyer system and the way that you are lawyering. And it's like you never changed the person that you are. And the people that I know that have been like became lawyers from when I knew them earlier into where they are now, they are two totally different people. But explain to people how you were able to keep your, well, I guess in today's society, they will say realness, because just like you took off your shoe and showed the Air Max, that's something people in our community can identify with because we all know young people, shoe heads, things like that, StockX, expensive shoes. You wouldn't, so to say, like compare a lawyer to like that. So that's just opening up another door for the young people to understand that you don't have to change and be nobody else in order to get to where you want to be and where you need to be and where you always dream to be, and people telling you that you can't be that. So what made you continue to stay on that track and be yourself and still accomplish everything that you were able to accomplish and still are going to accomplish in the future?
I think the way I look at it is you get one soul, and are you going to sell it? And if you're selling it, what are you selling it for? And a lot of times it's non-refundable. And so the way I look at it is I ain't ever selling my soul. And it's a character thing. I think you either have it or you don't. And I appreciate you pointing out the Air Max. I also, a lot of times when I do things like this or when I go talk to kids, I will intentionally roll my sleeves up. I mean, I got arms full of tattoos. I mean, because that shows you the background and the place that I come from, that a lot of lawyers just don't. I mean, a lot of people in general didn't struggle the way I struggle, and it's not. I never. You shouldn't compare struggle to struggle. Well, I struggle more than you. Like it's not like a badge of honor, but a lot of times character is built when you come through struggle or when you come from the fire. And I think that because I've been tested a lot growing up, I saw what real life or death situations were. I've seen my mom taken away in front of me in handcuffs. I mean, I've been at rock bottom before, so there's no amount of money that you can throw at me to make me sell my soul. Or there's no woman who could come at me that's gonna make me cheat on my wife. I mean, it's a character thing that I think you either stand on your principles and your beliefs or your morals, or either you're gonna sell your soul or sell out. And then once you do, you can't get it back.
All right. Now, Freeze, I got to bring this up. You've disappointed me a little bit, Freeze. You're an honorable man. You come on here. We can tell you're a good dude. But I want to know why. When you go to run for public office, and we need a brother like you in office, why do you wait so long to jump into these races? I just need to know. I need to know because I'm disappointed.
Hey, that is a valid question. That's a valid question, man. And I really don't have a great answer for you. I mean, this last time, I ran again this year. My intention really was not to run. But I started getting a bunch of calls from people saying like, yo, like, let's go, let's get it, let's shake it up, make some noise. And I was like, I'm just not feeling it. Like, I mean, I'm feeling it in terms of like the changes that I want to see, what my ultimate goal is. But like in that moment, I just felt like I wanted to focus on some other things and some family things. But it was really just hearing so many people in the community saying like, nah, let's do it now. Like we need you to stand up for the things you stand up for. So I take full ownership of that. Like that was on me for running so late this time. Same thing with the attorney general. With the attorney general race, I got caught up in some politics on that. So, an OG hit me up like a year before when I actually intended to run. And he was like, yo, look, young blood, like you out here making noise. People like you, we need you, but I've done this before. I got the money behind me. So why don't you not run for it, run for something smaller, and you support me, I'll support you. So I kind of made a calculated decision and said, okay. Even though I ain't want, like my gut was like, nah, nigga, my bad. My gut was saying like, nah, bro.
That's what your gut said, man.
I don't know what kind of language we can use on here. I don't want to get you in trouble.
You just beginning of this, brother. You know it ain't.
If you comfortable with it, we good.
Okay. The Cincinnati started coming out, and I'm like, nah, like I don't care who you are. Like if, but then just like I said, I got caught up in the politics, and then so fast forward a year back to when I jumped in, like Zen, as you mentioned, and I jumped in late in that AG race. It's because that fool dropped out. He was going for whatever his reasons were. I'm like, bruh, like you set me back a year. But then that's why I'm like, I set myself back a year, because if I would have trusted my gut and just jumped out anyway, then I think I actually could have won the primary for AG in 2022. We only raised like $90,000. My opponent had $3 million, and we got 22% of the vote. So I think, to your point, if I would have jumped out earlier, I think I could have won that one. But yeah, the next time I run, it's not going to be last minute. I don't know when that is yet. Like I'm really going to, make sure I do my due diligence, really put a lot of the relationships that I have now in play and get some wisdom and make sure we have like a really thought out, well laid out plan of attack before I run the next time. And, like where I'm sitting at right now, though, this relationship birthed off me running the first time, and it's been one of the biggest blessings of my life.
See, even Freeze get criticism in his job.
Oh yeah,
he just got some criticism from Zen.
See, once again, I have no problem with the criticism. The problem that I have is the cheering and the booing. Stopping there, Zen. I ain't going no further. He tried to pull me back in, but I rise. Still, I rise. Okay.
All right. Now, all of this is to take us to what's coming up in the next couple of weeks. For some, early voting has already started, but on November 5th, we're less than 2 weeks. It will be hopefully going to the polls and voting. As you say, you kind of touched on it earlier. You talked about how there's the through line. Whether it's local, whether it's federal, it's always going to be that through line where politics touches every aspect of your life in some shape, form, or fashion. Now, I got to throw out my boy Coach E.
I'm here for it, baby.
Man, we touched on it a couple weeks ago. Well, probably about a month or so now. So, your boy Coach E says, I don't want to have no parts of it, man. It's whatever. It's too much. My hands. But we need fellas like him, good dudes like him, to participate in this process. I know you being out on the campaign trail, you come across people like this and that you've had to talk to and try to persuade into going to the polls. What would you say to your boy Coach E, or people like Coach E, I should say, that feels, what is it? What's the word I'm looking for? What's the word you would describe yourself, Coach E? Disgusted with the process, disgusted with the whole government as is. So they just rather sit out than participate. But actually, we need you to participate if we're going to ever have any change in this process. But
So
what you got to say to that? Oh, go ahead, E.
I don't want to say disgusted, because everybody to a certain extent is disgusted with the outcome of anything that they really believe in or that they really delve into and put themselves a part of. But I just want to say, like, it's kind of like a standstill, because you can believe in one thing and you can vote for one thing, and then if you believing in that and voting in that thing for all the years that you have been voting and you see nothing change, at the point in time, just me and personally, how my mind works, we all know how my mind is kind of like black or white. It is going to change or it's not going to change. So if people have been voting on stuff and having these opinions and living for these things and dying for these things, and these things never change, so that just makes you go to the black side, like, oh man, what am I doing? It's just not going to work. So what am I voting for? So that's just how I just been feeling. Like I said, I don't know if you knew, Freeze, I haven't voted since 2000 with Bush and Gore. That was the last time I ever voted. That was the first and last time I ever voted for a presidential race or anything like that, because I was growing up. I pay attention to a lot of stuff. I watch all the politician stuff. I watch all the debates. I pay attention to all the issues and all that stuff. And you alluded to it a little earlier, all the gerrymandering and all that stuff like that, drawing the different lines and getting the votes to go one way and then getting it to go the other way. But it just seems like nothing ever changes from all these things. So that's personally me, why I never did it. So that's just his questions. How would you, I don't want to say convince me to vote, but what would you tell me to make me feel more comfortable as an American black male voter and going into the polls and registering to vote and everything like that?
Man, I really appreciate this question, and I appreciate you being candid about feeling the way you feel. So the first thing coming to my mind is, I know a lot of folks like to throw the history that, black folks, died and protested and all of that.
That's the number one answer every time I say that.
Mm-hmm. Right. But I understand why, nowadays that, even though that should be convincing, I understand why it's not, because the point you made is you still haven't seen much change. And so, but the reason that I reference the past is because initially that's what happened, right? We were lynched, we were killed, we were just simply told we couldn't vote. And then our forefathers and our ancestors, they fought for that, and we got us that right. Then it's after we got that right, then it was, well, you can vote, but the folks who you're voting for are all white. you're not qualified to run for office. You're not smart enough to run for office. You're not capable to run for office. So I think we're still fighting a lot of that mentality when it comes to voting. So growing up in Cincinnati, I don't. I know that Cincinnati has had a black mayor now, but it was after I lived in Cincinnati, so never saw a black mayor during my upbringing, and maybe like one or two black city councilmen. But the point that I'm making is that a lot of times it's hard to believe in something when, as Coach E said, you don't see the changes or you don't see the representation. So I spend a lot of time answering this question by telling people not only can we vote, but we can also run for office to be the changes that we want to see. I think all three of you brothers will make great city councilmen in Cleveland. Actually, a very recent friend, but somebody who I admire a lot, is Bashir Jones, who is a former councilman up there in Cleveland where you guys are.
Yeah,
And
that's my guy.
that brother has a fire in him. He has heart of a lion. He has a passion to fight for not just our people, but all people, to fight for what's right. And so my point is, nowadays we can be the change that we want to see. We don't have to rely on somebody else to do it. But just like it takes so many years of your life and so many hours and injuries and pain to train and be an athlete, the same with politics, right? Like you got to start, or I would encourage you to start getting involved, right? Like know who your city council person is or your county commissioner, know who your local district attorney is, know who your mayor is, whatever positions that you guys can vote for locally in Cleveland. I think once you start to dive a little bit into that, then that light switch will go off to make you say, you know what, this is why I should vote. Because this dude, he lame, but Bashir was running. If I would have voted and Bashir could have won, now you get why it's important for you to vote. And then once you start to realize that, then it just elevates the more you go up the chain. So going to the presidential election, the best thing that I can say about that is if we go back to 2016, when Hillary ran against Trump the first time, a lot of people had that mindset like, nothing's going to change or why does my vote matter? But here we are 8 years later in 2024, Trump appointed 3 Supreme Court justices that now have the majority in there. And you see Roe v. Wade get overturned. You start to see some of these things get unraveled that were protections for people or freedoms for people. And when people say, well, who I vote for as president isn't going to impact my life on a daily, well, tell that to a woman who's trying to go get something that's now banned in certain states, or tell that to a young brother who gets arrested for marijuana possession when you have legislators still in office who refuse to legalize on the federal level. So like, yeah, like in a grand scheme, like I get it. I realize that we don't see the changes immediately. And I'll close with this. That's the problem. Because we live in a social media and a technology and a microwave age where we think things, we snap our fingers and we think it's there. And everybody wants to get on social media and be Soldier Boy. Soldier Boy was the first person really who took advantage of the internet and social media to become famous and make a lot of money. But we don't know the grind and the work he put in to get to that point. So all of these kids nowadays think they just supposed to post one video and make $1 million. Same thing with voting. We think we're supposed to vote for somebody and a change is supposed to happen like that. But we got to realize white folks been playing a long game for 100 years. But voting is the long game. And that's part of why I wrote the kids book that I wrote, Chris and Key Go Vote, shameless plug. But I got that from having a conversation with Mr. Clarence Avant, who I met through Shaka. And Mr. Avant was somebody who helped get Jimmy Carter elected as president from here in Georgia, and Bill Clinton and Barack Obama. And he was friends with Kamala Harris. He played the long game. I think a lot of the folks, our forefathers in the older generation, they understood that, because when they were fighting for us to vote back in the 50s and 60s, they knew that they weren't going to reap a lot of those benefits then, but they knew that their kids and their grandkids will reap the benefits down the road. So I know I said a lot. Hopefully that made sense. Hopefully, really, the Bashir Jones example stood out about you seeing somebody up close and personal where you are and seeing that the dude who won could have been him and you might have made a difference with your vote.
Yeah, no, I totally get all that. Like I said, I always pay attention to everything and stuff like that. But what I can't get into is I mean, I know it has to be Democratic and Republican in the two sides. It always has to be two sides so you can choose one side and vote for that one side. But why can't bipartisan be the majority? You know what I'm saying? Since we are in this new wave in the new world and everything like that, you would think that everybody wants to be accepting and just, all right, let's keep it real. The LGBT community, the them, they, them, the pronouns and everything like that is so accepted nowadays. So why isn't the bipartisan way accepted like everything else would be accepted in just you know what I'm saying, just setting the world straight and not just having to pick a side. Everybody wants equality and everybody wants to work together, so why not be bipartisan? And that's the biggest problem that I have, because I can understand the Republican side and I can understand the Democratic side, but it's people that still want to be hatred against each other. But why not be equal and be bipartisan? Because all this border talk and things like that, that's a real bipartisan issue. Everybody has to come together and figure that out and straighten that up, but they can't because they feel like they have to be so true to one side and just ignore and be a angry person or just to disagree with that other side. So bipartisan is, do you see if that's even possible? Not in the near future, because I mean, it's still been so long that stuff hasn't happened. But just like you said, the long game, I hope and I wish that bipartisan can be the long game. Do you see that even being a possibility?
Man, you broke that down beautifully. And that was beautiful. And I hope so, right? I mean, that's part of the reason why, I think politics will always be a part of my life, is helping to push that narrative. And I think how we get there, though, I think it's going to take people who think the way that you do to be more vocal about it. I hope we get there one day, but right now, I hope everybody understands the way the game of politics is played right now is all based off of emotion, zero based off logic. And Republicans play the game of, taxes and money. Democrats play the game of, liberalism and freedom. And then those two sides always beef. But like you said, really at the end of the day, we all want the same thing, right? We all want to make money. We all want to have food to eat. We all want to have a place to sleep. We all want our kids to be good. We all want to be safe. And so I think it's going to take more people pushing that narrative of bridge building versus us versus them to get us there. And Trump is in his 70s. Biden is in his 80s. Kamala just turned 60. A lot of that generation, that they're starting to age out. And now it will be up to us, the people, in our age range and younger, to make those changes. And this goes back to my answer to your last question. It's going to take the people like you guys. And I'm not saying y'all specifically, but I just mean like people like us, right? Like people who historically we have been conditioned to think that politics ain't for us, that it's somebody from some other neighborhood or some background or some financial bracket. Those are the people who run for office. But the brothers like Bashir Jones, and we can name a whole bunch of others, showed us that no, it could be your everyday average, your school teacher, your police officer, the fireman, the bank teller. We have the ability to run for these offices too and be the voices for our communities that people historically would not have been. And then once you get more people like that at the table, I think we'll start approaching that place of where we really focus on bipartisanship and we focused on what's best for most, for all of us.
So I'm sorry, Zan. I don't mean to take over everything, but
No,
we just flowing right now, and it's
no.
coming out.
Look at me.
Flow.
I'm giving
So,
you go. Go.
okay, so you keep bringing up Bashir Jones, but I want to give a shout out to my cousin Richard Starr, Council 5. I'm sorry, Ward 5 Councilman Richard Starr. That's my cousin. So he's
Okay.
real cool with Bashir Jones. So they pretty much have the same beliefs and the same outlooks on certain situations. But just like you said, you wish more things would happen to be more bipartisan. It's two major things that I thought that would help sway the tide with the bipartisan situation, but it really didn't take hold as fast. And that just goes to like your long game comment and not the microwave society comment. But the George Floyd in the January 6th situation, that brought so many people that were at odds together. And I thought that would be kind of like what they say marijuana is, the gateway drug to the bipartisan outcome. But it really didn't happen like I thought it would and I thought it should, because you saw people getting along and coming together and just agreeing on stuff with those two situations that you never thought that would even see the same outcome or the same situation or the same thought process. But I thought those two would be the biggest things that get the biggest ball rolling down the hill to create kind of like an avalanche situation. But is that what you're talking about? Maybe, and that's a sad thing and then a bad situation at the same time. Do we need more of those situations to happen to get that avalanche going to be more bipartisan?
I don't think we.
Before
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Zan.
just real quick, why you answering that? Do you feel the people's responses to those situations was genuine? That's what I wonder. Or was it all posturing? It was all,
What
you
people?
know,
Yeah, yeah.
the
So
show
that's what I was
face
about to
and
say, B.
make themselves look a certain way. That's what I wanted to add that piece to it.
Yeah, so not 100% was genuine. We all know it's certain people that's going to jump on the bandwagon just for money purposes or just to push their belief situations or purposes on that situation. But I think the majority, me personally, I thought the majority was kind of genuine with the outcome of those situations and how they felt so passionate about it, because so many people was affected by both of those, and a lot of people that had their eyes closed opened their eyes with those two situations. Was like, damn, I didn't realize that it was like that. With the George Floyd one, a lot of people came to our side meaning the blacks or whatever, the oppressed, not just being the blacks. I don't want to just like minimize it to one category, but a lot of people saw it and was like, man, I didn't know that was going on like that in those situations, in those neighborhoods and things like that. But the January 6th, that even brought a lot of people like, wow, I didn't even know that he was brainwashing people like that. I'm not like that. I used to like dude, but I don't think like that. So yeah, not 100% was genuine, but I thought the majority was.
So my
Not a good point.
question back on that is, why didn't it have any? Why wasn't it sustainable? Why didn't it have any staying power? Why did it revert back to the old norms after some time passed?
Because of what Freeze was saying, the long game. Everybody went back to the normal and what they were always taught and what they always thought they believed in, because they saw something different and they was like, man, that's messed up. But no. That's not what I was raised in. That's not what I was taught to believe in. So I went back to what I always was brainwashed and doing and thinking. And so I think that's what the major breakup was, the long game, what Freeze was talking about.
Well, there's another angle to that too. Why it wasn't sustainable, in my opinion, is because George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, down here in Georgia, Ahmaud Arbery, all of those things happened in 2020 during COVID, where
Yeah,
everybody was shut
right.
down
Mm-hmm.
and at home, right? So people weren't at work, people weren't at school, people weren't. Everybody was in the house, and so all eyes were on these things. And then people decided to rally around these things, and corporations pledged money, and which a lot of them, like you're talking about being genuine, a lot of them didn't put the money in those programs that they said they would. But then once the doors open back up for outside, oh, now everybody back outside. Now everybody moving how they move. it's back to the norm. So I think the biggest elephant in the room was COVID. Now, do I wish those things never happened? Of course, I don't wish they ever happen. But I think if they happen today, I think the outcome might be a little bit different because we moving how we gonna move. COVID was presented a very unique unknown where, like, yes, for temporarily, a lot of people were coming together and rallying, but then once everybody could start moving again, that unity kind of died down. So, to answer Coach E's question, I hope it doesn't take, another tragedy for us to unite over. I hope it takes us having conversations like this and realizing that we're smart enough to realize, okay, we were able to do it during COVID. Like, yeah, I get that things don't move the way they did during COVID, but we were able to do it somehow then. We can do it now while we still moving and outside and going to work, school, or whatever you want to do. But yeah, I think the elephant in the room was that everybody was in the house.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Well, yo, hold on, man, because I've been too quiet, man. I gotta throw
Yes, you
something
have,
in here.
bro.
Yeah, because I'm listening. I'm listening. Y'all have some good stuff. E bring up a good point, and I think bipartisan is possible, and I think they starting to try on both sides of the fence, Republican and Democrat, because I keep hearing the slogan pop up on both sides. And I'm a person that look at both sides. I'm conservative and liberal. Zan call me a moderate. So I look at all sides. I look everywhere.
He's a mutt.
Right. But I'm hearing they keep talking about vote for the policy, not the politician. And I think that is the closest thing to bipartisanship that you can get, because I myself, I'm really disappointed. Zan, see where I stand. I'm vocal about it. I'm disappointed because, in my opinion, a lot of the Democrats, COVID broke COVID and Trump, to me, broke the politics. Now a lot of these people, they go so far. And Freeze, if you was on a ticket, I'll vote for you right now. Freeze was on that presidential ticket, you got my vote, brother.
Oh, I'm voting too,
Because
brother.
you keeping it real, man. You keeping it exactly real. And I'm not seeing that. And I'm seeing the mudslinging at all levels on both sides of the fence. And it's disappointing, to be real with you. It's very disappointing. And it's like you said, it's emotion. You can't talk about, I as a black man, like that some of the Republicans, what they say is right along the fence, and some of the Democrats, because automatically you get this pressure. Since Kamala's black, I'm supposed to agree with everything she say. And I just don't. I just don't. And it's like, no, I don't. So, where else was? Oh, and then some people get mad at you. Some of the Democrats, they just get mad. Like, oh, how could you do this? And it's like, man, that's not the way to go either. So me personally, I'm just very disappointed at where we at right now. I wish it was better. I wish it was better policies. I don't agree with some of the policies on both sides. I like some policies. So I'm with E. I don't know what I'm gonna do. It's hard to be honest and go in there and give Donald J. Trump, former wrestler, a check. But it's hard also to vote with some of the policies of the Democrats.
You're fired.
So, and I've been Democrat my whole life. But this product right now, I'm just not impressed. Not at all. So I don't know what you would tell me, man.
I mean, I agree with you wholeheartedly. I wish that people in politics would change the game and just start talking about how these things impact our lives versus spending so much money and time and research on how to make things hit emotionally.
Right.
When you tell somebody they not black if they, don't vote for a certain person, or,
Right.
Black man, what's your excuse to not do this? Or whenever you bring those kind of emotions in, that takes the logic out. Well, what does me being black have to do with the education my kid gets at school? Right? If you black, white, Asian, Indian, we all want our kids to get a good school or get education. So talk to me about that. Like, don't harp on my emotions and try to clickbait me or scare straight me into voting
fear
your way.
monger.
Right. So I wholeheartedly agree, man. But I don't think we're going to get to a place where we see that happen until we see candidates start running for offices who are willing to run races that way. And one of the things that I did, which I'm sure that there's several reasons why the campaigns I've run didn't go the way I wanted to, but I never slung any mud. I always said that I would never run a negative campaign, because if I'm too busy talking about my opponent, then I'm not busy talking about why I'm running and the changes that I want to make. I don't need to tear somebody else down to build myself up. And I want to spend my time educating, people on why I believe what I believe, or just something. There's a lot of stuff about the criminal justice system, and I will have conversations with people. You realize that people just don't know. So I'm like, I'd rather spend my time, even if I lose, I'll own my loss by doing it the right way, the honorable way, the way that's helping you gain something, versus you just being able to say, "Oh, well, yeah, he put them on blast and it was funny."
Right.
But what did that change? So I think it's going to take a wave of, and this is actually one of the goals or dreams that I have in politics. At some point, I want to have just like a kind of like the Avengers or Super Friends. Like, I want to have like just this dope coalition of people like us, where we come together, we build a plan, and we execute. And you just start to see these people in different places. We're kind of like minded. We're not scared. Like I mentioned earlier, like you can't be scared of the negativity, or like we were talking about people laughing at Deshaun. Like, if we fall, like, yeah, people gonna laugh at us. They gonna talk about us. People gonna try to fire us. They gonna try to cancel us. They gonna try to do whatever. But at some point, I want to have a real solid group of people, just unafraid of all the negativity that might come at us, who are willing to stand up and say, you know what? If not us, then who? If not now, then when? Hopefully in my lifetime, I'm 41 now. I'm praying I get at least another 50 years. I make it to 90 between, this next 50-year gap. I got a lot of work to do. We got a lot of work to do. And I know that y'all, Coach E, I know is, football is in your DNA. If somebody did an x-ray on you and looked at your heart, it's in the shape of a football. But we need your voice in politics too, Ray Finkel. But
you know what I'm saying?
But it's people like you, though. It's people like you guys who have platforms and who have reach in the communities where you are, who have the respect. I'm sure if the three of y'all walked into a school right now, the kids will gravitate to y'all. The kids will listen to y'all. And that's what it takes people out. I think if you start with that, right, just that magnetic kind of energy and a personality, which comes from your character, which comes from you being genuine, that's all it takes for you to run for political office. And that's what it takes for people to believe you. Like, Barack won in 2008, not because he did a lot of emotional games like we see today, which, I mean, he did, but it wasn't as bad as today. But his whole campaign was on selling hope. It wasn't on selling fear. And
exactly.
Hope is also an emotion, but a lot of times if you go the positive route or the hopeful route or the optimistic route, you're going to get some policy out of that, right? But when you go the fear route, when you go to back me into a corner route, I think most people will probably take the perspective Coach E has, which is just saying, I ain't going to do nothing. And that's why we get so many people who don't vote.
Yeah. Hey, stop saying this idiot going in voting. I mean, I hate when they say that. Like, because on one hand, y'all say you're idiot. On the other hand, people be like, well, he's super dangerous. He's going to take away the right to vote. He's going to take away democracy. Like, it ain't no checks and balances. I get where they come from because of peaceful transfer of power and the lack of doing so timely. But that's still, I believe, still in the system of checks and balances that the other white people that want their time to shine not gonna let him be the last president.
I can't see it. There's a lot of sycophants. There's a lot of sycophants out there, man.
But everybody wants to be shot. They want their time. They DTR is waiting for Watson to go out. You know, they want their shot.
You get this man 4 years without the fear of not having to worry about reelection. So that means I could do this carefree how I want it.
Yeah, but he
And I
can't
get
do
my
it on his
people
own.
in exactly, but he
He can't do
has
it.
the followers. That's why I say that he has those sycophants
I'm
that's
talking about
tried
the
and
other
true to this
politicians,
man. That
though. The other
you keep thinking
politicians, your Ted Cruz's and all them morons that want they shot,
exact,
your JD Vance, they not gonna say, "Hey,
bruh,
Trump, here, be the last president." We want to be president too. That's why they taking the
bruh.
way he running office and mudslinging and talking
But
trash and
you
absolute
say,
lying. They just taking the same format.
Yeah.
but guess
They
what?
want their time to shine.
But guess what? How, Freeze brought it up earlier. I can let you be that. Why? Because you only gonna be it for so long. You already about to be
Exactly.
80. You about to expire soon. So my shot's still gonna be able to come. I'm gonna still be able to do that.
But you only got 4
But when
more
I get to
years
do it, then I
according
ain't
to
even
the
gotta worry
law.
about nobody else.
But you only got 4 years according to law. So in 4
But
years, I'll wait you
that's
out
what we
my
saying.
time.
If he tries to do, just imagine what he did in those 4 years. Like I say, and he don't have to worry about reelection. Really, not have to satisfy. I could go balls to the wall and not worry about any true repercussions for what I'm gonna do. Man, I'm gonna go hard for what it is that I believe in. And
I can't see
I can
anybody
see how,
supporting that.
man, you see what he's done. Freeze brought up the Supreme Court. We're not even talking about what he did on the federal court side.
Yeah,
On
he
the
took the
federal
power
court
to the
side,
states
we're
on
not
the
even
abortion.
talking about how they was able to gut the Voting Rights Act. Bruh, the stuff that he did in those 4 years is gonna take. He said he got 50 years. It's probably gonna take those whole 50 years that he got left on this earth to play that long game that he talked
Man,
about, to reverse that stuff, man. You know what I'm saying? Because
So
yeah,
they
that
had to play
stuff,
the
boy,
long
I
game when
can't.
it came to Roe versus Wade. They
You ain't
played
gonna
the
happen from
long
change,
game,
man.
and they in
We ain't
what
gonna be on
they
the
played it
chain
slow,
gang.
and they got it to happen.
No way.
Man, before we be able to reverse any of the stuff that they just did to us in just those 4 years, man, it's gonna take a generation before something like that can happen. But we got to be patient, and we're gonna have to play that long game. But look, we are running up on time. I do want
Yeah,
to. Oh, go ahead, Coach. You can get us out of here on this one because Mel gonna kill us.
election
Go
play.
ahead.
Oh no, no! I already forward thought about this. This is a
Everybody.
2-parter, 45 minutes and 45 minutes, because this is too long. I mean,
Okay.
it's too good to just cut this joint and just exclude all the knowledge that we've been dropping. But my thing
Right.
is, I got a question for y'all three. So, like I said, I pay attention to everything, and me and Sharon, we be watching stuff and paying attention to everything. So I went out on a limb and told her, B, that's just real weird that you just keep sniffing at stuff like that and throwing me off. But I'm gonna get back
I
on the
was gonna
track.
ask, like, is that smelling salts? Like, what is that?
Yes, it
Yeah,
is.
Got,
Cocaine.
you got a
Cocaine.
concussion?
No, it's called Boom Boom. It's called Boom Boom. It's Boom Boom. It was on Shark Tank. And it opens your sinuses up. My sinuses closed down. So I had
Okay.
to smell it.
sorry, I
Nothing
got
in here.
Thought
distracted.
you had a concussion or something.
That's Coach E's bath salt.
Hey, definitely ADHD took over. But I told Sharon about this election. In my opinion, I think this is the last of the older people. Freeze, you mentioned the ages of these people that's running. So from now, I think everything is going to get younger. And just like how the market world and how they approach selling things to the world or advertising things to the world, they jumped on the hip hop train so fast to get to the younger generation. So I believe that politics are about to go to the same thing, because that's how you get the attention of the people that are younger and that are going to be the future leaders of this thing. So I think this is going to be the biggest switch. I think, yeah, okay, everybody talk about the Project 25 and things like that, how things BU was just talking about, we're not going to be on a chain gang, things like that.
Yeah,
But
it's ridiculous. I
yeah,
ain't going
it's
on chain gang.
I think this is going to be, if you want to say we're going to suffer for 4 years or whatever the outcome you think is going to happen, I just think if we get through this, it's going to be a major switch coming. I just don't know who the people are going to be, but it's not going to be that old America no more, living in those old times with those old beliefs, because those people are just dropping off. whether it be dying or just getting out of politics, and nobody, our generation or younger, is listening or believing anything that they have to put out there. So it's like you said, Freeze, it's up to people like us and people in our circle, or people that have the same beliefs or culture or just the same brain waves, to think of a different way to attack this political game. This is going to be the beginning of the end of the old stuff. So we got to find a way to get this new stuff in here to just switch everybody's way of thought. Do y'all see that happening, or am I just thinking too fast and too forward? Do I think it's a microwave society? Am I tripping?
I like your thought on that. I really like your thought because I hope for that to happen too. But when I think about campaign funds, and I know Freeze brought it up earlier, campaign funds, buying the ads, going out there, grassroots, it seemed like those old timers, they just got the money,
Go
the
fund me.
backing. And, yeah, I mean, yeah, GoFundMe, one thing, but the old timers, again, now we saw they pulled the money away from Biden after what he did, and they put it in Harris' hand. But a lot of times, anybody younger than that, they gonna have the financial backing to get the commercials and seeing everybody and getting everybody's attention and stuff like that. I just don't know, because this has become such a market employ. Like Freeze, when you was talking about Obama, I saw Obama back in 2000 in Chicago, and I said, that brother ever run for president, he gonna get it. He got my vote. And it was just him appearing real, and just like you said, he was on hold back then in Chicago, rolled up sleeves like you, tennis shoes on in the streets. So it's like, now I don't really see that, but I don't know if the youngin can come in, because I don't know if they're gonna have the funding.
So I'm tripping.
Oh no, go ahead. Yeah, my fault. You was thinking about your answer. I was gonna squeeze in something real quick, but go ahead.
Now, it's interesting that we're talking about this now, because I literally just thought about this. So last week, Kamala's sister Maya Harris was here for an event that I went to. It was Women for Kamala, and unfortunately, the room wasn't a full room. Should have been, but it wasn't. I mean, there were a couple notable folks there, right? Former Mayor Kasim Reed was there, Congresswoman Nikema Williams, current Mayor Andre Dickens, some money folks. There's a black woman here named Jan Bryson, and some other people. But the point I'm making is, it was the old way of thinking, right? It was let's attract kind of the elite class, folks with money. But it was a rally, and there was no campaign donation required. So my thing was, it should have been opened up to the masses.
Absolutely.
That room should have been packed. I think that was a perfect example of an opportunity to do exactly what we're talking about, because there at some point, and I think the point is now, there's going to have to be a bridge between the old guard and the young bucks, right? And where the old guard starts passing the torch off to us. And the old way of doing things was, you had the folks who came in a room like that, or they would be at Mr. Clarence Avant's house. Or we have another gentleman here, Mac Wilborn, who's in his 80s. Black man who made millions of dollars by owning fast food restaurants. And he had Popeyes on lock in the Atlanta airport. And so Mac understood getting involved in politics early, going back to President Carter, Clinton, Obama, Biden, every Democratic nominee, Hillary, VP Harris now, every Senator Warnock, also every Democratic senator, congressperson, whoever, they've all been at his house, right? Because he got in the game early enough, and they all know and understand that a lot of money comes through Mac. But again, it's if you're not fortunate to know that or get invited to be in a room like that, the masses are the ones who vote. So there has to be a way to figure out how you bridge that gap between the money you need for a campaign and capturing the hearts and minds and attention of people who vote. And I think Barack was a good example of how you do that, because he was in his 40s when he did it. So you could say he was young when he did it. And we just got to start seeing more of that. You got to start seeing people who are genuine to be able to cross those bridges. I think we keep seeing people who just play on the fear, then we're gonna keep getting the same stuff we get. But to Coach E's point, I do think we're at a pivotal crossroads because of the age of the people playing those fear games, and people like us in our 40s are gonna start to say, you know what, we tired of that.
It's
Like
BS.
I got the celebrities. Which is a cool place that I think I'm in, is having the relationships that I have with people like these, but then also the kids under them. Now it's social media influencers, right? And
That's
so
what I'm
having the
saying.
relationships with them, understanding how they move, how they get down, how they make their money, how they interact with their followers, all of that can be used for positivity in a political space. And then also knowing the Kasim Reeds, the Jan Bryces, the Mac, knowing the old guard, being able to tie like all three of those together, then you can come up with something special.
All right. Look, I'm gonna get you out of here on this one. So real quick, um, one of the things that you are, you're advocate for knowing your rights. You want to spread that education for folks, so whenever they encounter law enforcement, they know what to do. So if you had something that people that you come across that people aren't aware of and should be aware of, what would you tell them?
The biggest thing with dealing with police is don't have the fight right then and there. That's what you got court for. You want to make it away alive. You ain't gonna lose no respect from nobody. You're not gonna lose no self respect if you just get through that encounter, um, to make it home. Don't. The biggest thing I can say is don't have to fight on the side of the road or the side of the street or whatever it is. How to fight in court. You know, a lot of times we think that, and a lot of times rightfully so. Like if police do something wrong, we want to win the argument right then and there. And it's hard to be patient. It's hard to be quiet, especially when you're being wrong. And I struggle with this. You know, if you lie on me, it's real easy to get worked up. But the best piece of advice I can give with dealing with police is that's what the court is there for, to fight it out in court. Don't fight it out right then and there with them. You know, just document everything, document as much as you can. You know, talk to an attorney as soon as you can to tell your side of the story. And then you will have the opportunity to fight it out in court to hold that officer accountable if they've done something wrong. That's the best piece of advice I can give when it comes to dealing with police.
Wise up.
Hashtag.
That's it. So yeah. Tell the people. He just hinted at it. Man, tell the people how they can follow you, learn more gems about the things that you're doing in the movement that you're doing. Look, you said I'm in Atlanta too. So in Atlanta, what's one of the
Yeah.
that people can follow you and learn and follow the moves that you're making in Atlanta?
First of all, shout out to y'all. You know, Game for All Seasons. Make sure y'all follow, listen, subscribe to this.
And watch.
IG for me is Attorney Wise Smith, and watch on YouTube. IG for me is Attorney Wise Smith. TikTok, same thing, Attorney Wise Smith. I don't use Twitter, just IG and TikTok. My Facebook, I keep that private. That's more just for like, friends from high school and college. Because I got attacked with a lot of death threats and hate from a Trump white supremacist group back in 2020. I mean, a video of me back in those days out, protesting in the streets, got over 1 million views, and I got thousands of comments. People trying to find my address and find my kids and stuff like that. So Facebook is private. If I know you on Facebook, I know you. If I don't, you ain't gonna find me on there. But yeah, other than that, in Atlanta, I'm always out in court every day. if you see me out, don't be afraid to say hello. I give out my number all the time, 678-404-WISE. So, yeah, I'm here to help.
Mike
That's
Jones.
what a $230 million attorney looks like, by the way.
Oh yeah.
Hey.
I'm the 40%. You know what I'm saying?
He the 40%. I was like, man, bro, I had a case for you. I wish you was up here. Ooh, I had a case for you. I ended up going with the 10%er who thought he was, he was charging that. He was that Deshaun Watson. You know what I mean? Good man. Had me all messed up, bro. I had to tell you the details later, but yeah. Wrong attorney, wrong representation is bad, man. They're going there and leave you high and dry. And I think I heard cheering once the verdict was handed down.
Yes, sir. Yes, I was.
Shots fired.
Hey, shout out to Jeezy, standing ovation.
That's hilarious.
All right. Hey, look, fellas, man. Oh, go ahead.
I just want to say one more quick time before we go. I just want to say thank y'all. Y'all have been consistent at this, putting out positive content. And I salute you, brothers. Pray much success and many blessings. Hope y'all keep doing it. Y'all are making a difference, man. It's really dope to see 3 young black men doing this. And I'm honored to be a part of it anytime y'all need me, man. This is it's always fun to come on here with y'all. So I appreciate y'all.
I appreciate it. I appreciate it. And he called me young with all this gray in my beard. Look at me. Look, hey.
We still young. We still young.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh, man. But Freeze, yes, we always appreciate it when you jump on here. So, hey, again, like the last time that y'all didn't get to hear, man, Atlanta, you're going to get the opportunity to vote for this man into office one of these days. And I just need y'all to do that and to help continue being the progressive city that I see you as. So, hey, this is another brother that's going to take it up another notch. So I hope over the course of this hour and a half, you got a sense of that. But again, appreciate you coming live from the DTP studios. Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Is it the studio?
Let me see if I can get y'all. Let me see if I can get y'all a quick peek of Shaka real quick before we go.
Oh, okay.
Let me see.
You on the move?
Right.
Hey. Solo. This is my brother from college. His podcast. Just want you to say what up real quick. That's the man right there. The legendary, the one and
What's
only.
going on?
Hey, yo, appreciate you everything you done, brother. Keep doing it.
Yeah, Zulu gonna get me elected president. That's what we working on. So
you got one vote. I'm gonna write you in the ballot, man. I'm gonna go in there and write you in the ballot in your Instagram.
Oh, best believe
right now.
Best believe I'm voting that time, brother.
I'm talking about this year.
Oh, I'm sorry.
But yes, hey, let's go ahead and wrap this thing up. Let's get to that post-game word. Again, good pod. We appreciate Freeze for jumping on. But I know after all this kind of this type of conversation, this thought-provoking, this provocative conversation, Coach E.
Yes, Texas Ranger Crip Zen.
I'll say you leaving me hanging here. All right. You got a post-game word for the people.
Man, with all this inspiration on this episode, how can I not? All right, ladies and gentlemen, gather around, take a knee, all eyes on me. Today's word is producer. We just saw my man Shaka Zulu, as Freeze call him. He is a producer. And I ain't talking about in the music form. I'm talking about in the worldly form. He produces. Anything that he touches, he produces something from it. So why are you not a producer? Why are you always in the consumer mind frame? Get out of that consumer mind frame. Yeah, okay, we need consumers because consumers puts the money where you need to be, puts the money where everything comes from. But we need more producers. So what are you producing out of life? Are you producing good things or are you producing bad things? Are you producing family values or are you producing negative values? So I need you to look in the mirror and see what are you producing. Challenge yourself to produce something. If you haven't produced anything, I dare you to critique anybody that is producing something, because you know what? That criticism it's going to go on quiet ears. So things that go unproduced will not be born into the light. So producers, keep on producing. Consumers, if you're happy with being a consumer, keep consuming. But producers, keep on producing. I challenge you to produce more and get to another level. What are you producing?
All right, let's go.
Win on me, win on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Win!
It sounds so sweet. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening to another episode of Coach E Game for all seasons. Once again, I want to give a shout out to my boy, my brother, my player partner, Freeze, Christian Y. Smith, Esquire, in the building, ATL by way of Cincinnati. April 10th through the 13th, it is Ohio University Black Alumni Weekend. Will he be in the building, ladies and gentlemen? That's a question you will find out later on your own merit. With that being said, see you next week.
Thank you for tuning in to Game for All Seasons with Coach E. Remember to hit the like or subscribe button on Coach E's YouTube channel. To listen on the go, download wherever you get your podcasts. Also, make sure to follow Coach E on Instagram, X, and TikTok at BigF216. Contact us at www.perfecttimefitness.com for one-on-one or group training sessions. Our theme music provided by Mr. Taboo Timmons on SoundCloud at Mr. Taboo Timmons. Once again, thanks for listening and see you next week.